Okay, in this video, we're going to take a look at how to order an aggregated offering now that one's been configured for us. So let me log in here quickly. In this case, I'm getting logged into the agent interface, so I'll need to jump out to the self-service portal in order to request this. So let me jump out to the self-service portal. Okay, so from the portal here, we can see we have one category called GitOps. We'll go ahead and drill into that. Inside that category of GitOps, we have a service for infrastructure services already configured, and we actually have a Workshop Jenkins offering here that we're going to go ahead and select. So you can either click the button or click the request service button as well and get you here. So this is a Jenkins deployment. It's got a sample Eclipse project that looks like it's using Maven, TestNG, Selenium WebDriver, and it's supposed to be for auto testing during the build. So I'll actually use this as part of the workshop. And this is actual private AMI out in AWS that's been exposed here for requesting as an aggregated offering. As with all requests, we're going to have to provide a business justification. Sample order for workshop video recording. And again, as always, we'll have to put an email or a preferred method of contact. Of course, email is totally fine for that. Up next, on aggregated offerings have underneath them and underpinning them are what we classify as subscriptions. Subscriptions have a start date and an end date, though the end date does not have to be defined. They also have a subscription name as well as a description. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and put an end date. So what happens on that end date, if it is set, is the cloud resource that is provisioned, or the aggregated resource that is provisioned as a result of this request, that cloud resource will actually be terminated and those resources reclaimed effectively since that subscription has expired. Now, there's lots of reasons to put dates and times around things. And of course, we can manually terminate them as well. But that is a way that the system can handle it from an automatic fashion. So for the subscription name, I'm going to put sample Jenkins for recording. And for the sake of demonstration, I'll just use that also for the description. Now we get into some options that are specific to aggregated offerings. So when you see just the look and the feel of these aggregated offerings and these options, you can see that they're a little different maybe than some normal user options, if you will. That's because a lot of the data is pre-identified and pre-populated by the system live out of the resource provider itself. So if you recall, from the configuration early on, we defined a resource provider and we defined some additional attributes about the resource provider, AWS credentials, for instance, and things of that nature. So when you go to order one of these aggregated offerings, you get prompted for a number of things, right? So first off, what's the count? How many do you need? And then, of course, you have to pick your resource provider. In the event there's multiple resource providers, that would be beneficial. Upon selection of that resource provider, you can see that the thinking icon popped up there in the middle for a second. That indicates that it was going out and pulling in these attributes that are needed in order to finish the request here. So one of those is platform type, and this is actually a Windows box. So we'll go ahead and pick Windows there. The AWS AMI in this case is Workshop Jenkins. In case there was multiple versions of that AMI, we could do that. The instance type. This is a common one that folks like to get the ability to choose from. I'm going to go with a T2 medium here. That should be sufficient for what we need. In the workshop, we're going to ask the folks pick one of the smaller iterations. T2 micro would be ideal. We'll have to play that by ear a little bit when we get there. Key pair. So this is the key pair that folks are going to have access to from a workshop perspective. So we're going to go ahead and pick Workshop Jenkins 2021. The VPC ID that we want to deploy into. From a workshop perspective, I need to pause actually and go look that up. So give me just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, picking back up, I had to go look up to see specifically what VPCs and subnets we needed. So we need to be in the VPC that ends in 7A11. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And our appropriate subnet ends in 2AEE. So we'll go ahead and select that. If we wanted to adjust the size of the disk in gigabytes, we could. Um, I have a tendency to recall that this needed a 75 gig disk out of the gate, just to make sure everything gets provisioned properly, and the instance name. So this is going to be important. This instance name will get used a couple of different places. So we're going to go ahead and put um, sample workshop with my name on it, just so that we know that on the back end that that's for me. For workshop attendees, we'll give you a value here to put in the instance name. Once that's created, if there was user data that we wanted to put in there, those familiar with AWS and EC2 user data attributes may want to leverage that field for different auto launching features and whatnot, and it can get published there. With that, we just need to click submit, and we will go ahead and see our request. Request number 10529 in this case was created successfully.